Welcome to God's Vibes, the faith gym for faith walkers who are done playing small and ready to live fully led. I'm Juliana Page, apostolic voice, prophetic coach, and founder of Courage Go. And this space is where you train in truth, strengthen your spirit, and walk in your kingdom identity. If you're ready to grow in boldness, break through self-doubt, and become who God says you are, this is for you. Let's dive in. What's good, faith walkers? Welcome back to the God's Vibes podcast. We're going to dive into a message today really about how you can discern the season that you're in and why this is important. There's actually a lot of benefits that you might not anticipate or initially think of when you can discern your season and when you can really embrace the season that you're in. One of those things, you don't live with FOMO, so that's pretty fun. But we're going to dive into that together today. So go ahead, take a second and share this with somebody who could be blessed by hearing it. If you haven't subscribed, that would also be such a blessing. Go ahead and take a second to subscribe. And if there has been an episode that's specifically resonated with you, would you also rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review about what happened when you listen to that episode? It's wild, but when some people come to the podcast and they can see these testimonies, when they can see these transformations, you unlock hope for them. You give them a seed, right, for their next breakthrough, and it's just so powerful. So thank you for taking a second to do that. And announcements. Who loves announcements? Come on. We have 30 days of faith walking coming up. I couldn't be more excited. We've got facilitators that have met and they've been prayerfully preparing for this round, and we are officially kicking off on September 8th. So those of you that are on the wait list, check your emails. Early enrollment opened today. So go ahead and check your email. And then if you want to get on the wait list, go ahead and do that so that you can be one of those that can enroll early. But 30 days of faith walking is so powerful. I remember when I really started walking with the Lord, I was so confused. I'm like, what do you do? Like, I'm going to break this down for dummies, like faith for dummies, right? But I didn't have a role model. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have an example that I was going to follow necessarily. And so that was an interesting place to start. And we all start somewhere. You might relate to that. And then as I was walking with the Lord, he started entrusting more to me. And I started to think, what would walking by faith in any season look like? Like, what would, if there were a manual, obviously it's the Bible, but if there were tools and ways to really help me strengthen my faith in any season, because every season is going to have different capacity, stretching, challenges, warfare, just, different things going on. So how can I walk by faith no matter what? Like, I really want to position myself to do that. And I thought, Lord, help. And so he helped me write Rule and Reign, the Faith Walker manual. Quite literally how to walk by faith in any season. And I was like, okay. But then I thought, and this was so funny, I thought as I was writing this manual, no one's going to buy this manual on its own, right? They actually need a guide to show them how to utilize this manual. And I'm like, dang it. And so I just write the manual and I release it, turned it into an audiobook. And there was a moment a few years ago where God said, now. And I'm like, what do you mean now? He's like, we're doing 30 days of faith walking is what he told me to do. You're going to turn this manual into a 30-day faith walk. I'm like, we are. How are we doing that? And so it's just such a beautiful testimony of what's possible with God. But what I love about it too is literally that's what happens in 30 days. You break down how to truly keep God first place in your life, how to truly seek the kingdom first, and let all of those other things be added unto you, how to recommit yourself to the Lord, how to keep it simple, how to just focus and eliminate distractions through that focus, how to really become weaponized against the enemy, how to get breakthrough through specific challenges that you're facing. And so my invitation is to take whatever challenge it is that you're facing right now, and there could be multiple all at the same time. But if it's a relationship, if it's career, if it's your purpose, if it's your identity, if it's just a fear of the future, maybe intimidated about the future, if it's finances, whatever it is, take that challenge on a faith walk and do it with us. There's going to be live sessions every single week. The content is digestible on purpose. And I say that relatively. So if you have experienced something that we've done before, we go deep. And it's profound content. It's rich content. So this is bite-sized, digestible, meaning you don't have to spend hours a day on the faith walk. It's very simple for you to just take it a day at a time, step at a time, moment at a time. We also have a prayer and fasting guide. Many times people want to attach prayer and fasting to this faith walk. So we've got a lot of great information. If you've never fasted before, we got a lot of really great information on how to utilize these guides, how to prepare yourself to do that. So I recommend, for example, if you are on the wait list, enroll now, get access to those things so you can really position yourself and prepare yourself before September 8th, right? Because when you're on time, you're late. So that would be my recommendation. Then we also have a bonus VIP Q&A with me at the very end. And so this will keep your momentum and your endurance all the way through. But if that's something that's of interest to you, you can upgrade for that VIP session, and it will be a really powerful time. So you are invited. You can join the waitlist. Those of you that are on the waitlist, you can enroll. Early enrollment is open, and we officially start September 8th. I am super amped. It's one of my favorites, and I just feel like we are about to enter into a new Hebrew year on September 22nd. We're entering into the fall. It just is a really beautiful time to pivot. If you know, you know. All right, that's all I say about that, but I highly recommend come join us for 30 days of faith walking. All right, let's talk about this word, y'all. Let's talk about this word. So I think what is interesting about this is something that I've discerned and obeyed my way into over time. I think that I've gotten better at this. That doesn't mean that, it's necessarily easier. It's easier in the sense that you can discern, so that you can make decisions with greater clarity and effectiveness, and walk in wisdom, not overwhelm, chaos, confusion, right? And so I've learned mostly through obedience, okay? And then being able to look back at this track record with the Lord, how to start seeing patterns or trends or things to notice. So that's what I'm going to offer to you today. Some benefits of discerning the season that you're in and how you can really unlock the promise that's hidden in your present. I think I teach this in the God's Vibes Mastermind, but I used to be a master future tripper. And I thought that was a good thing. I had convinced myself that was, being a doer, that was being, somebody that goes after things, somebody that takes risks, somebody that, will make it happen. But then I thought, well, the future trip is a lot, because really it's high functioning anxiety. When the Lord started revealing it to me, it's like, you're only moving in this future trip. And the future trip to me is you're looking at the future without God in it, which is anxiety, but then, which would also be why you're anxious, because God's not in it. That's scary. But also you're looking through all the things that could go wrong. Okay. So you're developing strategies for days because, well, life has taught you that it probably won't go according to plan, right? It's tell God your plans and he'll laugh at you, right? You figure that out. And so you're oh, well, if I just come up with 100 more, then I'll have an option. But really, it's stressful, and you think and entertain some of the weirdest things, and usually none of them happen. Okay, so the future trip is, to me, a poor use of your divine imagination, even of your renewed imagination, right? Your redeemed imagination. It's not using it on purpose, right? It's actually using it against yourself, which would not be wisdom. That would be crazy making, right? Yet that's normalized in the world. So I thought future tripping was a good thing. But on the inside, I knew something about the pace that I was moving at, or constantly thinking about the future and freaking out, like not hopeful, not expectant, just like, ugh, you know? Maybe not you, just me. But I would miss my present because I was tripping. Like I was somewhere else. Like I could be in this moment physically, but I'm somewhere else mentally, right? And I was just always discontent and restless, and I had no clue what the supernatural peace that surpasses all understanding is. So, we tracking? Okay, so we're going to dive into something that every faith walker needs to grab a hold of. There's power in discerning your season. We did, I believe it was at the beginning of this year, really hard to even comprehend how much has happened in this year already, but we did a preparing to pivot prophetic summit, and we talked about seasons during this prophetic summit, looking at seasons as literal seasons, so winter, spring, summer, fall, that happen in the natural, and how you can actually use those as somewhat of a guideline to see like what season is your relationship in, what season is your business in, what season is this person that you're leading in, right? And that could be helpful. Like maybe some of you might think about it like taking a personality assessment can give you some wisdom. Similarly, knowing your season can give you a lot of wisdom too, okay? So here's why this is important spiritually speaking. It's because God frames our lives not by accident, but by times and seasons, right? In Ephesians 3, it tells us that there's a time for everything under the sun. And so if we're not able to discern what the time is, what time is it, right? And what God is doing right now, we could miss it. And then we could be out of alignment for another season because we try to bulldoze through this one, or we just try to escape out of this one, or we weren't paying attention, right? So when you carry a prophetic spirit, the gift of prophecy, okay, you learn not just to survive seasons, but to discern them. Very different. And when you discern correctly, you unlock the promise and potential hidden right where you are. And there is so much promise, treasure, potential right where you are. Okay? So let's break this down into really 4 prophetic benefits of seeing your season with God's eyes. Okay? Number 1, growth in tension. I will tell you, golly, this has been probably one of my biggest benefits, I would say, in the past, for sure, 8 years. For sure, 8. It's just been a constant every year for the past 8 years. There's been massive tension, but there's been a ton of growth in it. A ton of growth in it. Okay? And here's what I know for sure. Every challenge can grow you when you recognize God's purpose in it. Now, it can work against you when you miss that. Okay? James 1:2 says to count it all joy, because trials produce patience, and patience produces maturity. And we are called to go unto maturity. Like, we are not supposed to just be on milk. We're supposed to move into solid food. We are supposed to mature, and we're actually responsible for our stewardship. We can pursue God as much as we want. We can activate and really draw out the potential in us as much as we want, right? That truly is on us. That's not on anybody else. So that also means that the tension you feel isn't punishment, it's preparation. God is stretching your capacity to carry more. So sometimes we get in these scenarios, right? We were praying for promotion, all right? Then the tension happens. We're like, crap, I was praying for promotion, but now I feel weight. Now I feel pressure. Now I feel where I need to grow because I can actively see where my weaknesses are, where my leadership gaps are. I need to grow. Okay? And then that's real tension. Or there's different warfare that comes under attack. So I was going to walk with God as long as he did this. But now that it looks like this, I'm not quite so sure if I trust God like I did before. Tension, right? Or my relationship looked good, but now all of a sudden this person is facing this challenge and it's bringing this kind of nature out of them. And now there's tension. Now there's tension. It's challenging my love walk. It's challenging my love ministry. It's challenging how I see them. It's challenging how I look at my future. Growth and tension. So when you know what season that you're in, okay, you can grow in God's purpose, in God's intention, in his design, because God is not surprised by what's happening. And if he's allowing it, it's because he knows there's growth in there, and he knows who you become through going through that thing, through growing through that thing. Okay. And that's valuable. That's also why the enemy introduces strange attacks. Okay. So when you think about this too, growth and tension could look like you really wanted to have your own business. Now you don't realize that that didn't create, more time freedom, more schedule freedom, more adventure necessarily, right? Like it's different kind of adventure. But you thought innocently that you would have more time, right? And suddenly now you don't have time for things that you somehow were doing before. Or you thought that you'd have more mental space. Now you're thinking through and having to process so many things to make a whole lot more decisions, right? Or you thought that it would feel really freeing and life-giving. And for sure, it can feel that way and fulfilling at times, but you didn't realize how much responsibility comes with it because you weren't carrying that weight before. When you were working for somebody else, they shielded you from a lot of the pressures and the things that were going on there. You didn't have to think about the overall company vision and mission in a way that directly impacted you. You didn't have to worry about finances so much as long as you got your paycheck. You didn't have to worry about, legal battles or different things. None of that stuff came to you. Okay. So now when it's all on you, you don't have the same kind of freedom, especially in the beginning stages. Okay. And you have to learn how to adapt. There's growth and tension, right? Or you move from one place to another. You move from like an apartment to a house, right? Now you have more responsibility. Now you do probably have more bills and expenses than you had before. Even though maybe your monthly payment might be different, you might have added a whole lot more expenses that you didn't anticipate because things require upkeep. It doesn't just stay the same, right? Or there's just more that you have to figure out. Bigger anything is more responsibility, right? Tension. Okay. You were used to operating at this level, but now that there's a destiny shift, there needs to be an identity shift. Tension, because you're not today who you need to become to sustain this and to grow this and to build this and to multiply this and to govern this, right? Tension. So when you know, right, God's purpose in a thing, you can lean into that tension versus trying to run or abort the mission. Number 2, awareness of God's presence in hidden spaces. Some seasons feel like wilderness, waiting, or even silence, right? But discernment reminds you that God's still there. It says in Isaiah 45:3, God gives us treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. So your hidden season is not ever wasted. God doesn't waste anything. It's actually where God deposits treasures nobody else can see until it's time for unveiling. So you don't want to abort that. Okay. I went to grad school for film production. Okay. And it was just a fascinating program in so many ways. Absolutely loved it. But one of our first assignments specifically with cinematography, okay, was to utilize an old school camera. Okay. This is a camera that you have to like flip on its side, kind of pop open the side, load film into, close it, seal it back up, and then you can start filming with it. Well, the interesting thing about this camera is the film that you put into this camera can't touch the light. Okay, it would ruin the film. So you have to get a changing tent to load film into this camera. And it's literally like what it sounds like. It's like a mini tent for a camera. Okay, so you put this camera into the tent, all right? And you kind of like open the side. Well, the interesting thing is then you zip the tent up. So all you can put into the tent now are your hands. Like there's little pockets for your hands that are covered. And you have to figure out how to put this film into this camera that you can't see and just hope and pray that you are loading it properly because film is not cheap. And then you seal it up and you take the whole camera out and then you start filming. Okay. Then you film however much the film is, right? However, let's say you can film for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay. That's what you do. Then you have to go back to that changing tent, unload the film, put the film in like a container, right? Then you got to drive your happy self to a development center where they can develop that film. And it's only then that you get the film and can see what you actually captured. And I will promise you, sometimes it just look like when you shoot a picture and you just get like movement, you can't even see anything. It'll just look like blurry. Sometimes a whole roll of film can look like that if you loaded it incorrectly. Okay. So similarly, the point was to teach you, right? Like now we live in a world with cameras on your phone. The point of that class was to really teach you how far film has come, like how it originally started and how far it's come, to just give you a whole new appreciation and respect for the art of filmmaking. Okay. That's just cinematography. That's not even any other aspect. Anyway, that's, to me, when you look at this spiritually, like the dark room of destiny. Okay. So God often keeps you hidden, and he's done this with so many characters, whether it's Joseph, David, Esther. Like he will keep you hidden in this dark room of destiny where he prepares you in silence relatively. Like you're not totally sure in real time the time sometimes or what's going on. It can kind of be chaotic. You might feel ready for more, but you're not quite sure what that looks like. But God is preparing you, okay, before he unveils you. And that's really important, that you don't abort the dark room and you don't try to promote yourself. You don't try to compromise. You don't try to take counterfeit and make it fit. You don't want to do that. All right. So your hidden season is not wasted. It's where God deposits treasures nobody else can see until it's time for unveiling. So in my different dark rooms of destiny, I've had several, okay? One of the most beautiful ones was probably like the first one where I was really actively seeking the Lord. Like for real. Not like you were baptized as a baby and you didn't know what that meant. Like you literally give your life over to the Lord by choice and mean it and start walking with him. It was in that season. It was very, very dark. And it didn't get better. It got hotter, like fiery furnace hot. And it was very, very painful. It was like a great purging of different things. It was just really, really hard. But in this dark room and in hindsight, this is where I really understood reading the Bible with Holy Spirit. This is where I learned how to pray. This is where I got activated as a worshiper and a warrior. This is where I really started to see my spiritual gifts. Like those started getting activated. I had no idea that hidden potential was in me. Like he was showing me hidden treasure that was in me. I had no clue that was in there. No way. Like it wasn't how a personality assessment would have defined me. God was showing me things that I could have never have known or ever figured out. And he was inviting me to do things that I would never do without him. So that season was such a gift because now I know how to abide in the Lord in any season. Now I know where my help and my hope come from. Now I know that if all I have is God, your girl's good. It's all I got. It's all I need, right? Like truly. And I knew how to actually receive love into my heart. I encountered peace for the first time and I started to value it and protect it, right? It's just so, I can keep going, but it was one of the most beautiful seasons, although it was one of the most painful, okay? So do not abort that, because when you have awareness of God's presence, you're really going to find he's the treasure. He's the treasure. Number 3, revelation instead of frustration. Praise the Lord on this one. When you misdiagnose your season, you fall into despair. Okay, this is the hope deferred makes the heart sick. But when you discern it, you partner with vision. And we really need this because without vision, we perish. It says in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. Like you literally decline. You regress. You start squandering your time, your energy, your emotions, your capacity, and start aborting your destiny, okay? So discernment turns frustration into revelation. You stop asking, why me? Why me? Right? And you start asking, what is God revealing here? What is God revealing here? Like, frustration is a choice. But so is depending on the Lord. So is receiving his revelation. So is trusting that he is good and he is with me and he's for me. And he's got something for me to see here that I can't see. Because his ways are not my ways. His thoughts are not my thoughts. They're always higher. God, help me to come up higher. Help me to perceive this differently. Right? Strengthen me. So revelation instead of frustration. Revelation is just intel from heaven. Like, you could not get a degree in this. You couldn't theology your way into this, okay? You couldn't do enough righteous acts to receive this. This is just revelation, rhema word, breathed from God straight to you, okay? Really, really beautiful. And then lastly, number 4, opportunity and opposition. So some of your greatest breakthroughs are hidden in battles. Anyone? I think all of mine have been in battles, which has just taught me, like, okay, we don't run. We just brace ourselves for impact a lot of the time, right? But your greatest breakthroughs are hidden in battles. Think about David. His hidden victories with the lion and the bear prepared him for Goliath, right? He didn't have to go cut off Goliath's head. He didn't have to go into battle at all, but he was compelled to do it. God didn't even tell him to do it. He was just compelled to do it because he knew through these battles with the bear, with the lion, right, that this is just what God does, right? When he puts an enemy in front of me, he destroys it. And this is no different. The form might be different, but how God shows up is no different, right? Really, really fascinating. So David could see opportunity and opposition because he had seen it so many times. He had learned how to trust God in these different battles. Okay. 1 Samuel 17:34 says, the same God who delivered him then would deliver him again. He knew it. He knew it. Now, if we're not growing in the opposition, right? If we're not seeing the opportunity in it, we'll cower, we'll shrink back, we'll hide, we'll murmur, we'll complain, we'll get stuck, we'll even like curse God in a lot of ways. Okay? So what we have to know is we don't want to despise opposition. It could be the stage for your promotion, and that's been a pattern, biblically speaking, right? Opposition is usually the way to opportunity. It truly is. And it's what develops the potential in every believer and in every leader. Okay? God's waiting for somebody that says, will you shine? Will you rise up? Will you arise? What's it going to take for you to do that? What if you're facing that opportunity right now and you're missing it because you're worried more so about the opposition and you're missing the opportunity? Interesting. So here's what we don't want to do. We don't want to misdiagnose our season, right? Where you are right now is a gift. And where God has you is because you're a gift to who's around you. Okay? Wherever that is, whatever your workplace is, whether it's your family, God has placed you as a gift to those people and vice versa. And in many ways, we're all walking each other home. And how are you doing that? See it prophetically. Every season is an invitation. There's no such thing as fear of missing out in the future. You only miss out when you're missing your moment. Don't miss your moment. Fully show up to every single one. Then you can grow in tension. You can be aware of God in these hidden spaces and really find him anywhere, which only increases your trust and grows your faith. You can really lean into revelation over your frustration, and you can find opportunity in every opposing event or circumstance. And when you discern the season you're in, you align with heaven and unlock the promise waiting inside of it, right? In every season, there's a key to unlock your destiny. There truly is. But God has that key. And you studying the word and knowing what is yours, okay? And then also walking in agreement with the Holy Spirit and obeying that direction is how you start finding these keys that unlock your destiny. So the question is, what season are you in right now? And you can just, for the sake of this episode, you can just think of the seasons like winter, spring, summer, fall, and think practically about what happens in those seasons, right? In winter, dead things start falling away. Okay. There's just a kind of pulling back, a consecrating, right? A different sort of leading into the Lord, a rest maybe. Okay. Then you might have spring and things are just full of life and energy, and there's pruning and there's making space for new things, and it's cutting away things that are flourishing so they can flourish more. Okay. There could be summer where there's just harvest, right? And there's a whole lot of activity. All right. Then there could also be, what did I miss? Oh, I think I said, I was kind of describing winter as fall, right? Things fall away in the fall. Okay, you slow down a little bit. And then the winter, like there's releasing. There's a whole lot of releasing, right? So just think about that. Like think about literally physically what happens in different seasons. And then is that happening in your life, in your relationship with you, with your business, with your career, whatever that might be? What season are you in? And more importantly, what is God inviting you into through that season? Through that season. We've been inside Courage Co. in under those and those that I have influence with. We've been talking about pivoting on purpose. That's literally been a mandate for this year. And so we stepped into a summer pivot. And this summer pivot was all about pulling back, kind of like you would pull an arrow back, pulling back to launch forward. It's like also like a tsunami. When you've seen a tsunami, all the water kind of pulls back and there's a great rush forward. And so this was so important where most people want to, like vacate, escape life, do those sort of things. Preparation here looked like consecration. It looked like seeking God's face. It looked like eliminating distractions. It looked like releasing things that aren't aligned. It looked like aligning and focusing on things that are. It looked like making big decisions, confronting things that absolutely need to be confronted, like really intense stuff. But all of that is really, really important. And it is a summer season so that you can prepare for, the flourishing and the harvest, right? That's to come. And so it's really important to be able to know what season that you're in. Like, I think it felt like winter, even though we were in summer, right? Like we're about to spring forth in a really great way. There's so many things happening. If you're a kingdom builder in Courage Co., you kind of have a sense of that. But we are about to spring forward, quite literally, but we're not matching like the way of the world. So if I try to do like what people do in summer, I would be missing my season. Or if I try to do what other people think I need to be doing rather than obeying the Lord, I'm going to get in trouble as a leader, okay? And as just God's daughter. And I know better than to be moving in my own will or in my own strategy, because so many people say that like content, strategy, all that stuff, they'll say that that is king. Strategy is king. And I'm like, well, there's actually the King of Kings and he is king. So my strategy can never be bigger than him. Everything has to be devoted to him. And so this summer pivot was like winter. And how many that can feel isolating, that can feel lonely, that can feel confusing at times. It can feel uncomfortable to separate from things. It can feel challenging to consecrate. You kind of have like a restlessness where you want it to be a season that it's not, like you're sick of being inside in the winter sometimes, right? But there's so many sweet encounters. There's so many really powerful downloads and opportunities that God has to spring you forward, but you don't want to move out of season. Is this helpful? Then at the same time, relationship could be in another season. Like maybe relationship is in the summer. That's wild. Like if your ministry, career, business, if your business is in winter and your relationship is in summer, those don't exactly match, right? So it's going to require wisdom and discernment to know how to embrace many different seasons in one season and approach them differently. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay? But if today's word blessed you, share this episode with somebody who needs this encouragement. And don't forget, you can join us inside Courage Co. This is where we have courses. We've got 30 Days of Faith Walking, the God's Vibes Mastermind, the Inner Circle Mentorship, where you can get coaching every single week. We have the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification. So many other things. I don't know. I might be missing them. But so many beautiful opportunities to grow. Oh, prophetic training. We're involved in so much. So I just encourage you to plug into that. We've got great things happening every single month and ways to go deeper and do it with community. So join us there. You can go to www.courageco.org, or do not forget that you can join us very, very soon. Countdown is on. This many sleeps. I actually don't know the number. Only a few sleeps until 30 days of faith walking starts. So I will put the link in the show notes for you to plug in for that. All right, everybody. I hope this blessed you. And until next time, stay blessed. If today's episode encouraged your spirit, share it and leave a review so that other faith walkers can find their way home. And if you're ready for mentorship, activation, and community, join us inside Courage Co. It's just $20 a month to walk with us. You can access it at www.courageco.org.